So you're stuck in the mud. Maybe you're depressed. Or that you're already feeling the weight of 2024 and you're asking yourself, what the f? It's only January 12th. How can I be feeling this way already? You go and do what most people do and you ask Google or ChatGPT nowadays. Next thing you know, you have gurus telling you to nut up and to have discipline, or to take a cold shower just so you can emphasize the grind and grittiness side of your personality. Perhaps they're right. Maybe that is what you need to do, but just maybe there's another way. And that other way is exactly what we're going to talk about as we dive into Cambridge graduate, doctor turned entrepreneur, and now author Ali Abdaal in his recent book, Feel Good Productivity. So stick around, we're going to cover the 3 pillars of the book so that you don't have to read it. Spoiler alert, I think you should. And where I resonated and how I got value, especially as a software engineer. If you're new here, my 2024 mission is to create content all geared towards helping new and young software engineers for everything outside of just being another coding YouTube channel. The first pillar is ENERGIZE. As a parent, I can fully attest to the days where it's 5 p.m., I get off work and I just feel dead. Mentally exhausted, feeling frustrated that I didn't get accomplished enough during the day, and only to head downstairs and put on a fake smile so that I don't cause confusion or alarms with my family. And while Ali's not a parent, at least as we know, I think Ali felt very similar as he opens the book detailing a story about Christmas Day, and he's a brand new doctor all on the hospital floor controlling the entire ward by himself just because he forgot to fill out some PTO form. And after weeks of burnout, Ali did what we're all doing. Some of us might still be doing this. We turn on and tune into all of the David Goggins YouTube channels just so that we can stay hard. And we begin taking pictures of our watches at 4 a.m. every morning like Jocko. And I shit you not, I am so guilty of this that it hurts. I 1,000,000% have turned on the David Goggins motivation playlist on my in Spotify. To all of my old shitty managers that would constantly talk about grind and grit, I'm sure that would have made you super proud and super happy. But Ali notes that the ENERGIZE system is really just structuring your day and life around the 3 Ps: play, power, and people, probably in that order. These are the elements that give you energy, the ones that breathe life back into you and not just be an energy vampire. The general gist of the play section is asking yourself the questions of what would this look like if it were fun, and how can I incorporate more adventure? And in my own life, I'm reminded of this sense of adventure just watching my young child. I swear to God, she can make play out of anything. I've literally seen her open a birthday present, ignore the present, take the box from Amazon, thanks Jeff Bezos, and use that as the play toy for the next hour. As engineers, I think we easily forget how fun coding can be, especially when you're working on little side hustles and side projects, or just the sheer thrill of seeing your application work for the very first time.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
In the book, Ali aligns us to use a beginner mindset by literally and verbally reminding ourselves how freaking cool it is that we can take an empty file and swear at it enough times to make our CSS aligned into the middle of the screen. And for all my parents out there, I think we can learn a ton by just watching our child to regain that sense of play and adventure, except needing a drink or to go potty the literal second that they need to go down for bedtime. Don't start that. Now, to cover the next 2 sections, I found as a software engineer, it's best to combine the power in people. This isn't about literal power or status, but the power of learning to harness opportunities with confidence and to give and ask for help where fit. So if you're an engineer on the job hunt right now, please listen up. Treat all of your interviews as just another opportunity on collecting data. And you're gonna have interviews that don't pan out, but that doesn't mean that those interviews were a lost or a waste of time. Each one of those gives you insights, not only about industry trends, but yourself. They're your network, they're your community, and in tech, collaborating with your colleagues isn't just helpful, it's essential. Sharing knowledge and supporting each other, and just sometimes having another hand to help debug something makes all of the difference. And what Ali teaches you in this book to gain those relationships and gain that trust and to have more joy, ask for help. People love helping one another. It brings them joy. If you can help make them happy by just asking them this simple question, I think you're going to get a lot of benefit out of it too. And as you gain more experience in this field, just please recognize that there is so much cake that everybody can have their own slice. So your teammates are not the competition, they're your friends. Ask them for help, make them feel good, and then in return, you're going to get the same favors. Side tangent, one of the things that I found so awesome about this section was the fact that it follows already successful blueprints that he's implemented. If you're a fan of Ali for some time, you've probably seen his How Would I Do YouTube in 2023 and 2024 YouTube channels, and you'll notice every time repackages into a new phrase, his level 1 is called Get Started. And I think think this energized pillar and seeking adventure, leveraging general curiosity by using the persona experiment is an amazing first step. And I felt this pillar so hard because as we are trying to become more and more productive without selling our soul to the devil, re-energizing is just the first step. Now let's go over the second pillar, unblock. So you're full of energy, but you're still struggling to take any kind of action. As software engineers, I think we are all super well aware of blockers, maybe except when it's ourselves. This pillar hit me right in the face. I am generally an energized, ambitious, go-getter type of mentality person, aka golden retriever energy, and that applies for everything in the workday, but I really struggle applying any of it outside of work. You know, truthfully, I thought I was trying. I would spend countless hours making websites and building LLCs, creating social media accounts on every platform there is, and I literally went as far as even making business cards for a woodworking business that I never started. Ultimately, Ali sums this up as the following. When negative feelings like confusion, fear, and inertia stand in our way, we put things off. This leads to more bad feelings and in turn, more procrastination. It's a negative loop of low mood and stagnation. I was afraid of really going after what I wanted, and that was producing something for the world all along. As I mentioned, I got punched in the face. To deliver that final punch, Ali says this: our fears are often blown out of proportion. Ask yourself these questions to prevent yourself from catastrophizing. Will this matter in 10 minutes? Will this matter in 10 weeks? Will this matter in 10 years? This was the secret sauce for me to get over all of my analysis paralysis, fear, anxiety, or whatever the hell else you want to call it. And that answer was to get right up in its face and acknowledge it for what it was. I know, it sounds like such bullshit, but actually verbally saying out loud, I think I'm afraid. And going through the 10-10-10 experiment allowed me to easily justify the feelings I was feeling, but rationalize the fact that just because I was afraid didn't mean I couldn't act. As engineers, I think on a day-to-day we go through this roller coaster of emotions. And as Newton tells us, an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion. We stick ourselves so quickly just because we feel like we need the full picture before we can move on, when that's actually the anti-pattern of getting moving again. Instead, Ali tells us that the best thing to do when we are struggling to start is to just start somewhere. Rather than waiting for the full schema that you are going to use in production forever, just recognize that that schema is a JSON object somewhere. And if you just start with the concept of using that JSON object, you can mature and grow this process iteratively. Before you try to get too far ahead of yourself, throw that shit in a var object and just move on. And the last thing that Ali teaches us in this pillar is to emphasize the importance on going easy on yourself, and instead of mourning small failures, celebrate and find the win. We can't always control procrastination, but you can control whether or not you forgive yourself and move on. The last pillar of this book, Sustain, gives you actionable tips to help prevent 3 types of burnout. So to follow along with our theme here, you're re-energized, you've unblocked yourself, but how the hell can you sustain this so that you don't revert and go back to ground zero? And Ali highlights these 3 types of burnout: overexertion, depletion, and misalignment. Overexertion is when you're pushing so hard that even your coffee needs a coffee. To help combat this, Ali suggests creating the energy investment portfolio. It sounds complicated, but I promise you it's not. And you can find a link for a 100% free Notion template so that you can fill out yours down in the description below. And this section is all about identifying your dreams and hopes versus what you're spending all of your energy on currently. If you are a software engineer, this is kind of like your sprint planning, where you're going to leverage your capacity and velocity to understand how many new story points you can pull in. Next, we have depletion. This isn't just like you're tired. This is like your brain took a vacation, but without you. Ali notes that we can fix this with the calm method. The calm method isn't somebody saying to chill out. It is the competent, autonomous, liberated, and mellow strategy. Think of this as finding the spa day for your mind. Find things completely outside of your 9 to 5 that make you feel confident and in control. Break free from your rigid routine and work on something where you call all of the shot, and that is super mellow. And I'm talking like Minecraft creative mode mellow. To wrap up Ali's book, he hits us with one of the most important topics, in my opinion: misalignment. This one, unfortunately, and I'm afraid to say that I have felt far too many times. It's like trying to take the square peg and put it in the round hole. No matter how hard you try, how much you lie to yourself, and eventually burn out, if you are misaligned to what you're doing, it's never going to work or provide you any sort of happiness in the long run. So Ali, in his book, gives us a completely free resource to work aligning our action with personal values and long-term vision. And rather than trying to repackage his paperwork in any other type of way, I've just put it into Notion, once again, 100% free. The link is down below. So now that you got the summary of the book, let's go over the real juice what I thought about it. For me personally, I really appreciated and enjoyed the sheer amount of volume of external articles and literature that Ali prescribed in his chapters. It made the book feel way more scientific, even though if some of this is subjective pseudoscience. But what I really loved about this book was I never once felt that Ali was just pulling snippets from all of the other productivity books and rearranging them in a new way. So good on you, Ali. That's a +1 for me. The second thing that I loved about this book, and something I did not cover earlier, was going over the NICE goals in replace of SMART goals. NICE goals are your near-term, input-based, controllable, and most importantly, energizing. See, and I love the concept of NICE goals over SMART goals because I think generally people are just really bad at setting SMART goals. I think a lot of people get overwhelmed and try to fit too much in different categories, that the goals often end up being super large and not really achievable without any type of truly measurable bite-sized chunk that you can take off. The last positive I have here, and one that is a huge +1 for me, is that even though Ali is well-rehearsed, well-documented shit, he's made probably over 1,000 videos of this. He never once takes a strong opinion on this is the right way, just do this type blueprint that you've seen in some other productivity BS books. And instead, this book is largely just teaching you how to be a scientist and run all 50 some experiments he gives you on your life. So because of that, I don't think this book is trying to sell you snake oil, but is trying to give you real tools so that you can learn about yourself and see if any of it sticks. Now, as far as negatives, I only have 2. If you're a super fan of Ali and you watch most, if not all of his videos, you probably have already heard this entire book. Not in a one-to-one sense that he's literally taking his YouTube videos and putting it down in a text form, but the fact that if you have watched his videos over the years, you've already heard all of these concepts and it's not going to be a lot of brand new material. The second negative is I wish we heard more about the nitty-gritty of Ali's real life. If you haven't seen it, he has this behind the scenes appendix channel and I really love it. I love seeing the behind the scenes of what actually goes through some of the idols and colleagues that we have, especially when they are the productivity expert in the space. I love hearing the stories about how Ali uses these tools to relate to his own life and showing that he's actually making progress. You definitely see this through the YouTube channels. You see some of it in the book, but I wish there was a lot more of that, to be honest. Maybe I'm just looking for Ali's biography and not this book. Get on that, Ali. Throughout this book, it is abundantly clear that Ali recognizes the importance that a single shoe doesn't fit everybody, but he's also not trying to sell you shoes. Instead, he is just trying to give you actionable, relatable tools for you to figure out which shoe feels most comfortable, because after all, you're going to walk the furthest in whatever shoe feels the most comfortable. To pull the snippet from his own book to summarize productivity isn't just about doing more, it's about doing what matters in a way that's sustainable and fulfilling. I appreciate you, Ali. If you see this video one day, you're a huge inspiration to me and truthfully one of the biggest reasons on why I started this YouTube channel. We got a lot of cool things coming up this year. I am so excited for you to come along. I appreciate you, and if you've not subbed to this channel yet, hit that button down below and come hang out with us on Threads. We got a lot of really awesome communities starting to pop off. You'll find the link for my channel in the description down below, and I'll see you next week. Peace.